County Commissioner meeting is back in session at 1:30, and today on our agenda is to have a viewing of the Griffith number 391 drainage improvement petition. And I'm going to read a few things about how we're going to conduct this, just so everyone's on the same page, and then I'll turn over to Soil and Water. Welcome to the viewing for the consideration of the Griffith number 391 watershed drainage improvement petition. Today's viewing on the proposed improvement area is taking place at the office of the Board of County Commissioners with the use of video technology. Introductions of self and other board members, and Chris Bosman, I need to do that. I'm Gary Merrill, County Commissioner. Jeff Ben, fellow commissioner, and Brett Bacon, and we'll be up here later.
Dan Barr.
Thank you. And for the health, safety, and well-being of county residents in response to the continued threat of COVID-19, public participation in this viewing will be by virtual means. Over the last year, we have conducted several meetings this way. However, occasionally we experience technically difficulties, and this may be new for you, so we ask for patience as we work our way together through this viewing. As an overview of what will happen today, a video will be available to gain an overview of the project limits and specific areas. I can't iterate strong enough, no testimony or decisions are made at this viewing. This is simply a way for the board to become familiar with the area, which helps us as we go through the first hearing in August. The first hearing on the petition is scheduled for Thursday, August 12th, 2021 at 10 o'clock a.m. At the hearing, we will hear a report from the engineer's office on the petition, and that is also the time for testimony for or against the petition. When it's time for landowners to point out the drainage concerns in this area during this viewing today, we'll work our way through the participants on the Zoom platform. Your line connection will be unmuted, and you will be asked to identify yourself. As a reminder, this is not a time for testimony, simply to point out areas that you think may be helpful as we make our evaluation and have the first hearing in August. So if you're a part of the Zoom virtual hearing, you are not required to participate, but you may choose to do so when asked. And now we'll turn the proceedings over to Brett Bacon and Dan Barr with the Soil and Water Conservation District. Dan, I believe you're leading.
Yep. Daniel Barr with the Delaware Soil and Water Office, and I'm going to kind of run us through the video here, kind of give us an overview of what we're looking at. So,
as I read, we have to be patient with us as we walk through this. For those listening, before COVID, we would go out physically and do these, but because of COVID and sometimes weather issues, we're doing it in this format. Okay?
Back up a second. No, you're good. Go back to the video.
all right.
And they can see it, those on Zoom can see this, correct?
Correct. So we're going to be starting, the drone footage starts, there'd be a kind of in the middle of all of that yellow line on the north side of Peach Blow Road, there's a kind of a small parcel with a house, home, and a shed there. We're starting basically in their front yard and flying south. And you can kind of see as we go here, we can start now, Sarah.
So the top is south?
Yes, so we're heading south in this
Okay.
footage. You can kind of see there's kind of two parallel drainages here. One kind of inside the drive and then another out in the field. And they converge here into one, and then as this turns west, you can see the state of the drainage through the surface ponding and the tile condition there. And then about here, we're crossing that first fence row. Down through there, we turn a little south and continue west. And then this next wooded section would be right near the bottom, right on the west edge of the watershed. You can kind of see in the aerial photography, there's the pond there. The drainage kind of skirts the north side of that pond. And then this here would be entering onto the Sherman parcel right at the very bottom end. And then here we're going to come across, there's going to be a junction up here. Right there is where the Havens project, and Sarah, you can go ahead and stop it right there. That's where the Havens project that was constructed a few years ago, that's where it intersects into the same drainage.
That was a question I had. I know we were out there doing a viewing and a petition. Ultimately, that's finalized and
Yes, that was
been-
constructed here 3-4 years ago.
has it been that long?
I think it has been.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Same thing.
there's no overlap, but it's next, it
Yeah.
butts up against
They
the,
join into the same channel going downstream, yes.
okay.
So,
I saw there were several areas where the water was collected, as
yes.
you went through the viewing. Had there been a recent rain, or is that fairly typical?
That's fairly typical of that system. All those kind of puddles you see that are in a linear fashion down through there, that's blowouts on the old tile. So that's where it's collapsed and
There
failed.
were a number of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
When did you do this video? Dan?
When did you go out there and fly that, Brad? I want to say mid-March.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Brett Bacon, Soil and Water Conservation District. We flew this video on Monday, March 22nd. And to answer your question, I think we'd had a couple light rains, preceding this, but nothing exceptional.
Okay.
Any other questions or observations?
No, we'll continue.
With that,
We got more video, I assume, don't we?
is there more?
That's pretty much.
That's it?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
I assumed that was it, but I meant.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that would be the extent of the video for this. From the-
That's where it's tying into the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I think we have some people on the Zoom call, and there's no certain order. I'll let Sarah kind of determine who goes first. If you have anything you want, or maybe just raise your hand if you want to make a comment or show us anything that we just witnessed and comment on it. Again, we can't take testimony. Is there anything any of you would like to add to what we've seen? Just raise your hand and Sarah will unmute you. I'm taking that as there's no one has a comment. Certainly not required to. I just want to make sure we don't overlook you if you do.
What did that Dave was asked to unmute? Oh,
Okay. Okay. I'm taking this that there is no comment. So thank you very much for taking your time. Now, Commissioner Benton, do you have anything else you want to ask or any other questions of soil and water?
No, I mean, the video you showed us was representative of the water issues, the drainage issues you've seen in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to a lot of the other projects that we see. It's poor surface grading.
I have a question.
Just a second, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of it is surface grading and just the subsurface tile it's old, deteriorated, and
Okay.
it just met its life expectancy.
Okay.
I'm not sure who spoke up. One of you had a comment. Who was it? Someone said they had a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Tom Adams here.
Sure.
I am a part of this drainage ditch. However, your video started at a place probably 3/4 of a mile west of where I live. Oh, about just letting you know that, there's no, you know, I'm not understanding why I'm included in this when the flyover was nowhere near my property.
Yeah, I could attempt to answer that, but whether soil and water answer,
Yeah.
Brett, or, okay.
Yeah, all the landowners would have received a map that would have had the preliminary watershed for the project drawn on it. Would be the line, I believe we pictured it in yellow on the map. Preliminarily, we've determined that all the properties are either in whole or partially within that line would drain into the Griffith number 391 drainage system. State law requires that any property that's benefited from a project such as this be included in that, and benefited would be defined as water exits a property and enters the drainage system at some point. Certainly that line's preliminary. If the project were to move to a survey and engineering phase, that line would be examined and perfected if necessary.
So I'm gonna try to summarize what Brett said. Basically, it's those areas that are in the, in that area, and it won't be a final until after the first hearing, assuming we proceed after the first hearing. So it's all best guess right now, for lack of a better phrase. And was that Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. And I believe I see a hand up. Is he unmuted?
He's been asked. There we go.
We'd like to have some clarification on the explanation for the ditch. No one is saying that we're restricting the water flow this time around, correct?
No, the petition as it's requested at this moment would be to provide a good and sufficient outlet from the requesting parties at this point, the Gurdon parcel. We haven't even gotten into obviously any survey or engineering and identifying, but I think there's clearly points between the downstream of the Gurdon parcel where the drainage system is probably not acting as a good and sufficient outlet, as evidenced by the surface ponding and the blowouts that we see. Exactly what those problems may be or what we may identify is certainly a part of survey and engineering.
While you're there, Brett, question, the video that we did was pretty much the western end of this entire drainage area. There are no known problems in the rest of the area, the kind of the eastern 3/4 of the area. That's a question.
Are you talking further east in
Yeah,
the watershed?
yeah.
What we've looked at right now would be I guess what's mapped is the historic Griffith, Maine. That would have been done according to the petition process at some point in the past, and certainly when we start to develop the first hearing report, we'll identify the years that work was done, but it was all pre-1957, before drainage maintenance. We've not been asked to look further by those that have signed the petition.
Okay.
I mean, what we've presented today would be, I guess preliminarily or at this stage, what we've identified would be the area of work necessary to address the petition request.
Okay, that answers my question. In other words, you don't know of any problems in the rest of this drainage
Right.
area,
Yeah, that's correct.
but you could conceivably
Sure.
see more problems.
Obviously, folks would have some time period here to amend the petition if they desired us to look at that for them.
So you just focused on the main
Yep.
drainage avenue.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
I believe it's Mr. Sherman that was asked the question. Did we get your question answered?
I think
Was that Mr.
validated
Sherman?
himself.
Yes, it was
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Did we answer your question fully, Mr. Sherman? Just a thumbs up,
Yeah,
or?
I think he's on this.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we didn't leave,
All right.
okay. Is there any other questions? Okay. Yes, sir.
After you get past my property to the west, it goes down through a small portion of the model homes on 23 through Frank Cook's property on through the trailer park. Your problem with all this water flow, and I've talked to Scott about it before, and I've talked to Matt about it before. After it gets through me, no matter how clean I keep the ditch, no matter how clean soil and water keeps the ditch, if you don't clear it, at least to the trailer park, it's not gonna do anyone upstream any good, because it's just gonna back up. It can't get through Mr. Hook's property on 23.
Purpose of this hearing, of the
Yeah.
viewing today is to talk about the area, but would you get back later and have a conversation with Mr. Sherman on that, or did you, anything you want to clarify or comment on at this moment?
Part of the engineering of a project is to look at, from an engineering design, what it will take to create a good and sufficient outlet for, that, you know, that meets the request of the petition. That is certainly something we would take a look at and have looked at, I will say, in the past as part of the Havens project and the Peach Blow Connor Lane project. So certainly we would reassess if new conditions have developed that would, you know, make us want to look further to meet the request of this petition. We would do so. Otherwise, it would take a new petition to satisfy that request.
I think the question, if I could restate it, is if you have issues downstream,
Outside this drainage, outside of this drainage area.
outside this, downstream outside this area, and that is contributing to the problem, what exactly required? You're saying there has to be a petition in that area? If that water, I think.
If it
Mr.
would
was
not-
it backing
sorry.
up into this.
Yeah, if it would not, from an engineering standpoint, if it would not be necessary to meet the request of this petition, and it would be, I'll say, an additional concern, then it would take another petition to do that. In my opinion, I don't, you know, I would be willing to run that by, you know, council and see what the opinion would be, but.
Now, the other one that we did a few years back, apparently that was an issue there, or we would,
We determined that the channel was sufficient to meet the request of the petition, yes.
but you will clarify that.
Correct.
So, okay, we'll get clarification at or before the hearing in August, so, and obviously, there's a lot of questions. The viewing today is just simply to give the commissioners some idea what we're gonna be evaluating in August, and, you're gonna have every opportunity to give full testimony in August and express whatever concerns you believe are appropriate. Fair? Are there any other questions or any other things that we should look at? Yes, Mr., I can't read the name from
Mr.
here.
Godin, he's the petitioner.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to be specific, and just to let the commissioners know, you know, what the reason behind us asking for an adequate outlet was, and also the fact that we do have an alternate route to get to Havens Ditch. So I just wanted to make that clear when you make your decision, that there is an alternate route for an adequate outlet for us. Now, I don't believe there is one for North Road Extension or the new elementary school, but we do have one if this petition does not get approved.
I guess that's something we'll evaluate in August.
Right.
Is there any other comments? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.